Greetings. It's time for Insanity's Antidote, the lightning rod for human lunacy. I certainly love that one. Your booster shot for the head games of the intellectually challenged. Your personal freedoms line in the sand. It's Brian. I'm in, and very glad you joined us for today's ride. So let's get ready to mortal up. Thank you so very much. And as we get ready to mortal up, it is episode 474. I got a frog in my throat this morning. Good morning and welcome to the Brian Brawdy Show, bright and early, 6 a.m. Eastern. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us, for mixing it up with us here. Let's see, we've been called the cognitive bodyguard. I like that one. The human mind's Mandalorian, which, how can you not talk about that all day long, right? That guy's been doing his sit-ups. Well, I could certainly, look, with all the head scars I have left over from everything that I've gone through in life, I could certainly use a helmet like that, right? If you've heard me say it all, I've got more head scars than most Vikings. So that would be a cool thing if I could get a, what is it called? Mandalorian helmet. That would be pretty cool. All right. Welcome to episode 474. Thank you so very much for getting up nice and early and joining us. And I wanted you to know, especially, right? You get up, you get a cup of coffee, you get dressed. You don't want to act like you're under house arrest. You don't want to act like you're under lockdown, right? If anything, you'd be lying around in your pajamas all day long. So you get up, you do your best to try to, act like you've got some place to go. It reminds me of George Thorogood's song, With No Particular Place to Go. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. But I'll spare you the singing. So, and I can't even play the music because I don't think we're allowed to play music here. So in any event, no particular place to go, but you still like to get up, get out, get yourself situated as if you had somewhere to go. So I'm right there with you. Thank you again for joining us. All right. And today I wanted to jump into this because we got so many emails yesterday, and over on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn, the numbers keep climbing. And look, it's nothing all that I'm not the greatest looking, right? There's a lot of other people a lot better looking than I am on the internet that you could watch or listen to. So our numbers keep joining. If you want to join us, you can head on over to mortalup.com. You can nominate your lowlife making headlines. You can nominate your mortal up person. All kinds of cool things going on. You'll see how we're mixing it up on Twitter, how we're mixing it up on Instagram, Facebook, all of that. Wherever you're catching us live now, you're probably seeing us on YouTube, Twitter, where else? YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You know where you are. You don't need me to hear it. But by all means, head on over. We do what's called a blog and blurb every morning. You can get a little bit of something. I write them fresh every day. Write them and do the audio in case you want to listen while you're on the go. I know there's not a lot of giddy up and go anymore in our daily step, but just in case you do, head on over to mortalup.com. Now, a little bit of a programming note for tonight. For this morning, God, it's hard to break that habit. For this morning, we're still doing the 20-minute victories because, as you know, we don't want to be responsible for breaking the internet. And so that's what we're going to do. So our 20-minute victory tonight, and as I started to say, one of the reasons I think our numbers keep climbing is this whole concept of like personal responsibility, right? Where you say, hey, what is it that's really going on with everything going on in the world? How can you come out on top? So one of the things that we threw out on social media, I believe yesterday, one of the things we threw out on social media was this: seize the reins of your ride, or you're bucked, right? This is the time where we can look. We don't have to cower in the corner. We can take control of all the craziness going on around us. Are there people that are full of anxiety? Yes. Are there people that are worried? Yes. Are there people that are concerned? Yes. All those other things. I get it. But what if you could turn that anxiety into fuel for action? What would you do? And one of the things that I've started to realize, everyone's saying, 2.0, when it turns out it's going to do this, it's going to do that, all these different things are going to come down. But you know who gets to be the commander of that? You know who gets to be in charge? That's what I want to talk about today. You know who gets to write history? And at the very least, a little historette, right? Where just a little bit of your history, you know who gets to write it? You do. So with all the craziness going around, all the uncertainty, I saw someone the other day say, this COVID is so bad. Wuhan virus is so bad. This whole coronavirus thing is just so bad because of all the uncertainty. Well, life itself is uncertain. So how can you dig the uncertainty of one thing, call it serendipity, synchronicity, chance, blind luck, whatever you want to call it. But then when it comes to this, you go, oh no, I can't have that kind of uncertainty. Now, granted, this is a little more, maybe synchronicity is a little more death-defying, right? This is a little tougher to deal with, but it's still uncertainty. So instead of running around and giving the rest of humanity a bad name, why don't you and I buckle up? Why don't we decide to write our own history? And that whatever comes out of this shaker, whatever, right, you get it in, you get it all shook up, whatever comes out of that, you're going to be able to command. You're going to be on top of. And you're going to say, okay, great. Here's what I plan to do. This hand has been dealt me. Here's what I'm going to do to play that hand out. You and I don't fold our hands. When we talk about Mortal Up, it's just that. How about be your own leader? How about be your own historian? So let me ask you, as you start off your day, what's today? Tuesday, I think? You start off your day. What can you do now to start writing your history in the future? What can you do right now in this moment to make sure that whatever falls out, you're going to be on top of, right? Because that's the only thing that you and I can control. They say, oh no, we can control things in life. And I've begun to believe that we're afraid because our fairy tale of certainty has been popped. Our bubble of certainty has been popped by COVID-19. Right? We're so certain that everything's going to go the way we have planned. Nothing in life goes the way we have planned. Not really. You think about it. We could be done with this. I could decide, oh, I'm going to walk over and, get my exercise in. I'm going to head over to the store, get myself a can of Monster, or I'm going to do this or do that. I get hit by a car. 10-7. Brian's at 10-7 left over. Brian's out of here, out of service. Right? Could be walk in. I could get hit by a lightning bolt. Right? Get hit by a falling tree. Be attacked by a pack of wild dogs. Right? You don't know. That's the uncertainty. That's one of the things all these years I've loved about being in the wilderness, to be honest with you, is the uncertainty of it all. The marrow of my mind, the skill sets, the adventure. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the word adventure in the ancient Latin, or the original Latin, I guess is a better way to put it, the word adventure, aventura, means something about to happen. Expeditions we plan for. But adventures, they're very impromptu, where you never really know what's going to go down, right? Like when we used to be able to go to comedy clubs and there'd be improvisation, and you know how funny that is. Well, life is improvisation. So when people say, oh, well, he's just sowing uncertainty, everything about life is uncertain. But here's what we do know, that in order to come out on top, you need to seize the reins of your ride, or you're going to get bucked. There's no two ways around it. What are you doing now to make sure that however this thing plays out, you're going to be in charge? Because ultimately, I think we're in this position because we've grown up, you and I, maybe gotten a little soft. We've outsourced our courage, meaning if there's a bump in the night, we dial 911, call the police. If we need to put out, maybe, just maybe, you put a pile of leaves in your backyard and the fire got away from you. Who knows? It could happen. I don't know. A friend told me. So you pick up 911 and you call the fire department, or then you say, oh, well, great, I have an emergency here, emergency there. Have you and I outsourced our courage? Have you and I outsourced our personal responsibility, where we're always looking for someone else to ride in and save us? Have we done that? Maybe so. And if it has, what a great time to be able to recall that courage, to be able to recall that bravery, because it's yours. Maybe a better way is saying, can you reawaken that courage? Can you reawaken that bravery, the marrow of your mind, your buried logic, your authentic vigor? Those are all yours. You came built with those. But maybe we've gotten a little bit lazy, right? Maybe we've kind of let some things slide and we've abdicated our responsibility to a host of other people. We've abdicated, oh, if I get hungry, I'll order Domino's, right? A pizza, let's just say. Oh, they deliver. Oh, even nicer. Great. Oh, Little Caesar. Pizza, right? We get hungry. We've surrendered that responsibility to the supermarket or a fast food, or what's Uber for Eats? Uber for Eats. I know there's got to be a name for it, but you know what I'm saying. So we've outsourced that. Or we go, oh, great. Well, we've outsourced security. We've outsourced, oh, we all have insurance. What do we have insurance for? Well, if the vagaries of life, right? Billy Shakespeare's Slings and Arrows, if we get shot, we need someone to make it all right. And maybe that's what everyone is so crazed, is that we've forfeited our responsibility to seize the reins of our ride, the ride of life. And if you don't seize them, we get bucked. And then we're all running around going, can you believe this one? Can you believe that one? There's so much mashugana going crazy in the world today. This political party wants to go after this one. This political party wants to go after the other one. And I think, why? Well, because everyone's grown quite accustomed, the normal life, not natural. You know, if you've been following me all this time, then you know that I clearly differentiate in my mind between normal and natural. What you and I have grown up with is normal. That doesn't mean it's natural. What if the only person in a time of trouble, the only person we can count on is the person we see in the mirror? Well, what if that takes a little bit of practice? You go, Bri, I'm way out of practice. I get you. People say, oh, well, here's how you do the perfect pull-up, right? You get right up here and you go, and I go, well, great, but I couldn't get up tomorrow morning and do 50 of them, right? You got to progressively adapt yourself in the gym. Well, what if it's philosophically as well? You have to progressively adapt yourself to this thought, that they're your reins. This life, this ride is yours. And if you don't seize those reins, you're going to get bucked. And all I'm simply suggesting is that this is the time now for you and I to decide, no, you know what? I am going to write my own history. I am. If this is an autobiography, then I'm going to go out with a bang, with a blast. I'm going to make it one, right? A run for the red carpet because it's in you. But maybe we've outsourced it. Maybe we've abdicated it. Maybe we've just buried it so far down that we go, oh, Brad, I couldn't do that, though you could, right? Maybe we buried it so far down out of responsibilities to our family, our loved ones here and there. You go, oh, I couldn't recall that. Yes, you could. Which is why I think I always am picking fights with the motivation industrial complex, you know, and the self-help industry tactics. Wait for the acronym. It'll smack you, right? Like ringing a doorbell and there's a bag of dog self-help industry tactics. Someone lit on fire in a brown paper bag and then ran, right? Same self-help industry tactics, right? The higher consciousness cartel. And all I'd ask for you is, how about a lower consciousness? How about thinking back to the time where you were a badass? Guy or girl, thinking back to the time where you commanded your immediate environment. And I think that's the case. I think we've gotten so to the point where we're always counting on other people to do it for us. We've just gotten pudgy. We've gotten lazy. We're just comfortable, right? We just dig it. I have someone on, well, that's great. I'll hit the remote control, or I want something, I'll pick up. Sorry. I'll pick up my phone and call in a delivery, or I'll call for some backup, or I'll do this, that. Maybe you and I have just gotten philosophically pudgy. Let's just say that. A lot of binge thinking. Instead of focusing on, in the particular moment, in this moment, in all of time, what you and I could do if that trumpet blows, and it's for us, it's revelry for you and I. What would we do? What would we do with the tools we've been given? Again, with that, the marrow of our minds, the authentic vigor, the buried logic. What would we do if we were called upon to mortal up? And the good news is we can start practicing it now, especially if you're under lockdown. You can practice what you would do in any situation so that you're the leader. You come out on top. All these people pointing fingers is because I think they've just got comfortable. They suspect they're always going to have someone there to do it for them. But let's not be a traitor. Let's not be Let's not be a traitor to who you and I really are. Let's stop turning a blind eye and a deaf ear, turning our backs on our own backbone. And remember that we're all over seizing the reins of our ride. We're all over doing whatever we have to do to command fate, reminding fate that it doesn't scare us. We're the one that decides ultimately how this is going to play out. And then, my friends, I promise, no matter what happens in the future, you and I are going to have a different outlook. You and I are going to be able to look at it and go, yeah, you know what? That's not the best hand in the world, but at least I'm still here to have been dealt a hand. So here's how I'm going to prepare my flush. Here's how I'm going to prepare to run the table. And we do it when we remember ultimately who we are. So you watch certain media outlets, you watch all the political pundits, you watch everyone on social media. They're just scared. They're scared because they're riddled with amnesia. They don't know what it would take. They don't believe in their own ability to survive come what may. So what do? Use all that energy to scream and complain and bitch and moan and carry on and further outsource their courage, further outsmart their own buried logic. And I think that's what makes them scared. But you and I, we don't have to buy into that. We can remember who we ultimately are and that we are capable of pulling off anything. And you might think to yourself, well, I couldn't pull off this. Well, let's just talk about that. Couldn't pull off that. Well, let's kick it around. I bet you could. You may not know how to right now, but if you picture in your mind, I used to love that old commercial from Ella Fitzgerald. Is it live or is it Memorex? You've ever seen that? Is it live or is it Memorex? Ella would sing into a microphone, right? Not unlike this. Sing into a microphone, and then they would record it. And they'd put this really nice glass right up there. And then you don't know if it's her singing or it's a tape. Is it live or is it Memorex? If they play the Memorex tape and her voice shattered the glass. Well, that's what I've always liked about that commercial, is that your mind doesn't know if what you're doing right now in this moment is real or imagined. So instead of binge thinking, honest to goodness, I saw a squirrel today. Someone else put it up on the internet. We just talked about that. I saw a squirrel running around with a bag of nuts on its shoulder, water skiing with one hand. All right, so there you go. Get that out of my system. But binge thinking, instead of getting our mind to binge think and think about all the negative, what if we were to use our mind? Is it live or is it Memorex? Just picture yourself doing these things that you may be called upon in the future to do. You'll notice your pulse will race a little bit. Your breath will quicken. You remember, you go back to your breath, draw in a nice deep breath. Let fate know you're not going to be a victim. Fate should have targeted somebody else. And you start to make that picture in your mind about it, what exactly you would do if you were confronted by that challenge. And every time you make that picture, instead of running and hiding, instead of getting all scared, instead of screaming at some government official, some other, the big dad or big mom or big whoever, some other nanny to protect you from it, what if you just said, okay, hold on, I'll take a deep breath, remember who I am, and I'll start walking through so that when this tape, if it ever comes true, right, if I'm ever confronted by that, then it'll be my voice, like Ella Fitzgerald. Woo! There goes the glass. And if we do it that way, if we don't let our mind be hijacked by binge thinking, which is a guarantee that we'll be thinking something that only scares us, we make that vision in our minds, we picture it as if it's happening in the moment, and we know our heart's going to race. We know our breath's going to get shallow. All good. That's just your body going, what do you want us to do with all this extra energy? And you go, I get an idea. Why don't we imagine just for this moment in time that we're confronting that challenge? We're not running from it. We're not tucking our tail. We're squaring our shoulders. And when that happens, your body, I promise you, comes to life. So that when you decide to take the reins, when you decide to seize those very reins, you don't have to worry about getting bucked. You never have to worry about getting bucked because you'll be calling the shots. Now, that doesn't mean we get to control everything, but what we can always control is our response to whatever's thrown at us. So as we get ready to wrap it up for this morning and have you head out the door for your day, or have you head into the other room for your day or the like, however you're getting us, maybe you're listening on the radio. Just remember that you're infinitely stronger than you remember. You're infinitely more capable than you remember. You're more of a tough guy or a tough girl. You're more Joan of Arc. You're more King Arthur than you remember. But if you give yourself an opportunity now to meditate on whatever the worst case scenario is, and before your brain gets hijacked, you go, no, I'm running. I'm the director. I'm the Steven Spielberg of this little flick. I'm going to take control. Alexander Haig. When President Reagan was shot, the vice president was in the air. Alexander Haig goes up to the podium at the White House and goes, I'm in control until the vice president's plane lands, right? You do that. Pull an Alexander Haig and go, I'm in control. I'll do this. Thanks for the chemicals. Appreciate it. But here's what we're going to do. And then you'll progressively adapt. Just like I said before about doing the pull-ups, you'll get to the point where you go, hey, I can do my own pull-up. And then tomorrow you do 2, and then maybe 3, and then 5, and 10, and 15, and 20, whatever it is. But I promise you that if you test yourself mentally, you test yourself philosophically, it will stop being as scary as you absolutely believe it is. And that's what it means to mortal up. To see what it is in this particular moment in all of time that's confronted you. How are you going to bring the counterpunch? All right, I'm going to try to keep it as close as I can to the 20 minutes as I said. So thank you so very much for joining us until tomorrow morning. Don't forget, reach out on mortalup.com. Stay connected. Let us know how we can help. Let us know what we can do. All kinds of people sending us emails, over tweets on Twitter, direct messages in here on Facebook. Even if I don't get to respond right away, I thank you so much for that. Please continue to stop on by and let us know if there's anything we can do to help. But we will always be here as the human mind's Mandalorian to simply remind you that you're a lot tougher than you remember. Till tomorrow, have an absolutely fantastic day. Go out there, look up, stand up, bring your own bold and mortal up.